I'm Teresa Swan. I know Matea Swan here because she's my daughter. I got into Salesforce, really first heard about it through the Choose FI podcast. I was a teacher for a while, high school teacher, and just listening to the Choose FI podcast one day and heard all about Talent Stacker and then Salesforce through that. So that's where I learned about it.
Yeah, I obviously got introduced to Salesforce and integrated into the ecosystem from her. But before this, I was actually a student at Arizona State University, just finishing up my last semester. And towards the end of that semester, I started to meet with our CEO, Mike. And yeah, he kind of just introduced more of the paths that Salesforce offers that I could possibly discover and dip my toes into. So
yeah, I got into Talent Stacker shortly after I left my teaching job. So the school year had ended, and that's when I decided to start Talent Stacker. There was a financial investment, but I knew that without that, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it or committed to it. So I think that piece was important. And it kind of encouraged me along the way to make sure I start it and finish, right? So the journey was challenging, of course. I had the privilege of spending a lot of my time each day, immersed in Salesforce, trying to learn everything I could, doing all the trailheads. But the biggest, I think, most impactful part about being a part of Talent Stacker and ultimately what led to my success was my study group. So getting plugged into a study group was a big part of it. I still talk to those people all the time, but that's what kind of kept me motivated during those low points where I just found it challenging. There comes a point where it's like it just seems overwhelming, or like you take the test and you fail and you have to get up and try again. And so without those people around you, that community, it's just much more challenging. So I found that super beneficial.
Yeah. It was definitely a little bit overwhelming in the beginning, just because I had no experience, no knowledge or awareness of this whole world that I didn't know existed. Yeah. But yeah, it's been really fun learning all the things, and being here at Cactus Force, I'm learning that there's a lot more to learn and it probably will never end. So well, I'll say I feel that the transition was a little bit more in my comfort zone as far as learning goes. Just because I had just come off of, being in class every day, having assignments every day and studying and learning. So it didn't really end for me. Whereas I feel like maybe other people who had worked in an occupation for, 10, 20 years and then are just coming into the Salesforce ecosystem might lose some of those learning habits. So that was, I think, a fluid transition for me. And yeah, as far as experience, I had a few classes in school, business classes, like my degree was nutrition entrepreneurship. So I had the opportunity to learn about things like SEO and building websites, stuff like that, but limited. So yeah.
Yeah, and for me, with a background in engineering and teaching, I approach it a lot like, problem solving. So that's really what it all is to me as a consultant. The client comes to you with a problem and you work together to resolve it. As a teacher, it was also my responsibility to kind of give the student confidence to learn, right? Like, help them to understand it's okay to not know everything right now, and we'll learn this together. We'll solve this problem together. So I just felt really comfortable in that role, and that's kind of how I approach things on a daily basis. But yeah. I'm going to be completely honest and transparent. I never feel comfortable interviewing. Even in this moment, I'm not comfortable. But you just do it. You just have to put yourself out there, and you might fail once or twice or 20 times, and that's okay, because with every time you fail, you get better. You pick yourself up and you get better. So that was really my approach. In fact, yeah, as you recall, I interviewed with both you and Justin because I just wanted more experience interviewing. I'm no good at this. But yeah, just getting that experience is really what's the most important across the board. Hands-on experience, practical experience. That's really the best thing to prepare you.
I cried. I got initially onboarded as an intern, just really hungry and eager to learn, and very grateful that my bosses were so willing to invest time into training me. And eventually, I started adding on hours to my weeks. And when it became full time and I received the offer letter, I was not expecting it. Jaw to the floor. I called her and I was like, "You'll never believe what happened." I met with Mike today and I was not expecting that at all. But yeah. I'm excited.
And I remember, rewind a few months from that. It was actually almost a year ago now, but I remember getting the offer and shouting to Matea that I got it, and we were hugging each other and jumping up and down, literally. Just because it's a big step in the right direction of what we were trying to accomplish, or what I was trying to accomplish at the time. So it was just really cool. And on top of that, just knowing that I felt like it was a good fit, because meeting with the leaders of Cloudtegic, they're just so down to earth, and I've seen it through. They really are willing to, help you find your path and your journey. And so I knew that from the very beginning, and it was just exciting to get that offer. Cheesy as it sounds, I'm a proud mother, a very proud mama. But on top of that, even though I have, all years and years more experience than her, I learn from her every day too. She just has a different brain and a different skill set and a lot of strengths. And I'm just honored to be working side by side with her. We don't necessarily work together all day, every day. We're doing completely different things, but it's just really, really awesome being on this journey with her. I'll go ahead. So for me, it's definitely just a lot more flexibility. So you're familiar with, the school setting and being on that very rigid bell schedule where I had to time everything to a T, and always prepare for the next day without fail. I just have a lot more flexibility now, and I really appreciate that. That's the biggest difference for me.
For me, I would say being introduced to Salesforce just transformed my perspective on the world in general, the professional space at least, because before graduation, I really didn't know what I wanted to do as far as jobs go. And I now feel like working in this space, I'm introduced to a world of problem solving. And I just feel like I feel like the options are limitless, honestly. So yeah, professional field has just, my perspective on it has expanded exponentially. I feel like I can figure out what I'm good at, what my strengths and weaknesses are, what my interests are, and my disinterests are, and take whatever I want to and run with it. I would say, similar to what I just said, that I am capable of doing something that I set my mind to. And equally so, I wouldn't be here where I am without my support system. And just having people in my life who encourage me through hard times and sticky spots, or where I feel discouraged or where I'm struggling. And yeah, I think I've become more aware and more grateful for just my community and the people I have in my life who invest in me and support me and encourage me.
I just feel like the learning never ends. And it's not something that's new. I mean, I've known this for a while, but it's just continues to be proven to me day after day. So I'm learning too that like she said, there are so many different paths you can go down, and the space is limitless. So I guess still in the process of figuring out which direction to go, but continuing to learn every day. So I started Talent Stacker, which technically starting Salesforce in June of 2021, I think it was. And so that process was about 6 months. So I was learning all about Salesforce and all that it can do. And then I get this job with Cloudtegic, which is marketing, totally new world to me. And Mike says, well, we need you to learn Pardot. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever, I'll do it. So then I started on the path to, Pardot, which now is called Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, by getting, specialist certified and consultant certified eventually. But this course that we put together is really just, I started from the beginning and documented everything I did to get certified as a specialist, and then again as a consultant. So it's really just kind of going back and putting together a program based on what I documented. So it entails a lot of trailhead, modules, watching various videos on boot camps and things like that. There's a lot of content out there to help prepare someone that's interested in going down the marketing path and marketing automation. So really it's just help to put it together. It's kind of like what I've been doing for years as a teacher. So pretty easy for me.
I guess my advice would be just to be curious. From my experience, I literally didn't figure out what I liked and what I didn't like until I already did it, or I started to learn about it. Like I had no idea I liked code until I started to learn HTML and CSS. But I had these opportunities presented to me and I was like, sure, I'll try it. I'll learn it. Let's see if I don't like it. Let's see if I like it. So yeah, I guess I would just say, don't limit yourself. Try as many things as you can, because you'll never know what you might be passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was because I am not so much a social media person. I would imagine that's a great avenue for people to get plugged into a group of some sort through social. I think that's probably why I signed up for Talent Stacker to begin with, is because I wanted that guidance on how to build community in this space. And I figured it came with it, right? And it absolutely did. So there was kind of that internal Facebook group where everyone would share, their experiences, good or bad. So very transparent. And so anyway, that's what I did to build community. I started with that. And then when I transitioned into my job here at Cloudtegic, it's really just working with people around me, attending events like Cactus Force, just getting to know people, and using whatever resources you can find.
Yeah.